Hi, I'm Mahin Mustafa. I am Pakistani American. The pronouns I use are she, her, hers. I'm a mom. I'm also a CEO and founder of MTG, Mahin the Globe. It's a Seattle-based media outlet and production house. We kind of try to elevate stories of BIPOC through our media outlet. Today is a very exciting day. We have a very up-and-coming band called Silent Spring. They're based out of the North Shore, Massachusetts area, and they also released their debut EP today, and it's streaming across all platforms. So we'll do a round of introductions and then get to the questions. I really want to know more about their music and its connection with their Asian American identity. So, Ayan, will you go ahead with introductions?
Hi, I'm Ayan Kazmi, pronouns he, him. I'm a Pakistani American writer contributor at Mahin the Globe, or MTG, from Boston, Massachusetts. In addition to my passion for writing, I have a passion for music. I front a heavy metal band titled Kazmi, and I'm really excited to be here. Dang, how about you introduce yourself?
Yeah, so I'm Ethan Dang, he, him, and I'm the Vietnamese vocalist for our hardcore band, Sound Spring, the band that's here today for this interview. We're an anti-imperialist group with metalcore and scramps influences, and we also have Cleve here.
Hi, I'm Cleve. I'm my pronouns he, she, and I'm the guitarist slash bassist for Soundspring.
Awesome. So I'll get right into the questions. So how did you all meet and what drew you together as a band? Dang.
Yeah, so before the band, Soundspring, me and two of the other members, RJ and Tuna, played together in another almost like kiddie punk band back in high school. And so when that band dissolved, we were really digging our heels originally into a lot of crust punk with these blackened influences. Think bands like His Heroes Gone and Fall of Rafa. Music has always been a part of my life, so it was just naturally the next step to keep some sort of creative output with my own voice, which I wasn't really able to do before. And that's kind of how the band started. Obviously as we've gotten further, it's developed past that, even with Cleve.
Cleve,
Oh
how
yeah,
would you describe it?
oh yeah, and I met Ethan and RJ. I knew RJ before, but I met two of them together at a kickback show for Solidarity North Shore, which was like a mutual aid organization based in Salem. And after hanging out with the two, we connected with like our shared musical interests and like involvement and community organizing. So I hopped into Soundspring, and that was like the four core members starting off.
Very cool. So I'm really intrigued by the name of the band, Silent Spring. I was wondering what was the thought process behind it. Dang.
Yeah, so originally we really wanted Silent Spring to be a concept band. So leaning into these like anti-imperialist themes, our drummer RJ took the name from an environmental science book that discussed the effects of a pesticide called DDT on the environment. The author of the book at one point talked about how the use of DDT, the pesticide, in a forest nearby her childhood home had killed off all the wildlife, creating like this scene of an empty forest without the sounds of birds, crickets, or really any other animals or fauna, hence a silent spring. And so we thought it was really fitting considering the imagery. Um, you know, Even though our music has backed away from those neocrust concept albums now that we've developed ourselves for a little bit now, it still fits our themes as a band, considering the connection to industrial farming, the element of capitalists cutting corners at the risk of the well-being of the natural world. So it still fits, and honestly, I think it's great because of that.
That's super fascinating to me. So I have a question for Cleve here. Like, does hardcore music provide you this like sense of belonging or identity? How would you describe it for yourself?
Yeah, definitely. Hardcore music, like in itself, is already like so expressive, energetic, and it's like personal too, that it's like the perfect outlet for you to just like let go and scream your heart out alongside other people who are all just being torn apart by like this capitalist hellscape. And like although there's like a lack of people of color, the Massachusetts scene is like really tightly knit. And I noticed that there's like a large queer community here. And as like a non-binary person, I'm like really glad that it's thriving like so well in this space. And like even though being like one of like the few persons of color within the scene like can feel isolating sometimes, I just like know like the roots of hardcore itself came from Black people and people of color, and there are like vibrant scenes like across Latin America, Southeast Asia, the Middle East, and North Africa, and it's just like heartwarming to see all that. Like when I see, like when I hear hardcore bands in the Philippines or anywhere in diaspora, like Screaming Tagalog or like another one of our like million languages, I just like it hits different. I feel like a sense of belonging
Right.
like no other, despite being like so far away from them.
That's amazing. Well, Ayan has a few questions for you guys as well. So Ayan, take it away.
So Dang, how has your Asian American identity sort of shaped your music?
Yeah, I mean, some of our imagery comes from some of that already, actually. I mean, our logo itself, so the dude with the like the farming tool, like the hoe, actually comes from the patterns of Bronze Age steel drums from Dong Son in Vietnam, for example. But outside of like superficial things like that, and even some lyrics that we have for certain songs, a lot of it is extremely personal. I mean, my family has a past, for example, with the U.S. military outside of just the diaspora with, the Vietnam Civil War. My young father was preyed on by military recruiters and had like stations in the needless Middle East conflicts that induced PTSD into his life and into my family. All just to live and support like a very young growing family. Even with just that alone, the diaspora itself is still felt with like generational trauma. I myself am like only still just second generations away from the
Right.
Civil War in the first place. And being an Asian American specifically, like these expectations of who I'm meant to be being laid out for me as a kid was very aggravating. And so when we like see all that, it's easy to, and when you're living like that, it's easy to see how the whole blanket of Western Empire bleeds into all of our lives. And so in terms of our music, this feeling that envelops everything I've been a part of with our band kind of lies on this spectrum of overcoming anger, fear, and or sadness in our music. And
Mhm.
the process of struggle against some sort of reductionist hole in the wall and struggling for just existing as yourself is the core of our art. And it's something I think that a lot of different marginalized groups and people in general understand.
Right.
Absolutely. I think that's great. Cleve, can you do you have a sort of slogan or motto on some of your t-shirts that says mosh pits for mutual aid? Can you expand on what that means? How do you serve the community with your music?
So yeah, the shirts, you and Ethan are both wearing it too. So if you want to show that off for a second,
Yeah.
the Mosh's mutual aids. For
Right.
context, for people, mutual aid is like a continuous practice of like building a community that is capable of sustaining itself and including all marginalized identities who have been underserved by institutions and like nonprofits alike. And it goes beyond charity, which is like a practice which just fails to like acknowledge capitalism, colonialism, and like the way those systems perpetuate hierarchies and barriers among society. So the shirts, so like the money that comes from buying the mosh pits for mutual aid shirts go directly to like mutual aid and leftist organizations. um the one that we've been giving a lot of money to is Salem Survival Program, whose work specializes in like providing the unhoused population food, clothing, and specific needs, alongside providing them support and the means to defend themselves from the state and general population alike, who are like constantly like threatening their existence and providing them like no way to just like live and like get any like help within society. And so as like an anti-imperialist band with members who have like roots in organizing within our local community, it was like super important for us to like support these mutual aid initiatives and involve them in the hardcore scene, as it's like a practice that strives on collective action. And like it's not just like from the good of our hearts that we're doing this, it's like important work and people's lives depends on like everyone's collective contribution.
Absolutely. Well, one last question as you're wrapping up right now, Dan, for you is, are there any current projects happening with Silent Spring that you want to talk about? Upcoming stuff, anything? This is your chance to make your plug.
Yeah, so we have a couple of different shows which you can check out when they are on our Instagram handles, if not, which I'm sure we can link at a certain point. But aside from that, our biggest thing so far that we have done recently is we dropped our first self-titled EP and
Mhm.
whatnot. That's like our first real recording, and we're really glad to release it. And it's four or five tracks, and it's already out on all platforms. We've been released since last month, and that's our self-titled EP again. But yeah, that's like the big one right now, and I think we're feeling really good about it.
Awesome. Well,
Yeah.
thank you so much for joining us today. And, we really like to promote purpose-driven, genuine, authentic, cool music and voices. And you guys are definitely one of them. So keep doing what you're doing and let us know if you can support in any other way. Take care, guys.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.